All right. Well, this is week 4, lesson 4, and we're going to be talking about what Google did. So first off, thank everyone for coming and making time for this. I know, Josh, you have another appointment at 8, is that right?
I do, yep, another
Okay.
group meeting.
So we'll make sure that we wrap this up with enough time for you to get switched over for that.
Appreciate it.
I'll go ahead and start with offering the prayer, and then we'll go from there, all right?
Okay.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this day. We're grateful for the time we can meet here as a group and discuss those things that we've reviewed and learned in this course. We ask for thy Spirit to be with us to help us understand and take into our minds the meaning and the concepts that we've studied, and that we can be able to learn from each other and help solidify those concepts. We ask for thy direction in all we do and all our undertakings in our studies and in our daily life. And we are so grateful for the gospel and the blessings that it brings into our lives. These things we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So I guess to begin with, it's been a week since we've met. How's everyone's week been going so far?
Great.
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there.
Yep, good.
Yeah, good.
Does anyone have anything noteworthy they want to share from the last week?
It seems so long ago already.
Yeah, it does. All right. Yeah, and we also had conference this last weekend too, so big changes coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. I know a couple of the guys I work with, one of them is a membership clerk, and so he was looking for the curriculum for next year to order it in. He's like, there's no manuals to order, something's going on. So he kind of mentioned that like a month or two ago. So yeah, something's coming down, something's going on now. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, my sister works at the church office building in the special projects department, which is where they deal with like all the priesthood things and also the temples. So she kind of gave us a little bit of a lowdown without telling us too much. She's like, gave us like info saying, I can't give any specifics, but yes, some of those rumors you're hearing from what I have seen come across my desk are true. So
yeah,
be exciting.
I went to Deseret Book in between the two sessions on Saturday, and they had already put out they already had the manuals out and everything set out for sale.
Wow.
So like they announce it and then boom, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
They mean business.
They have it together. Yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts on our past discussion about York and the constructive criticism, and anyone have maybe an opportunity to put those principles into use?
Well, luckily I didn't come across anybody that had a bad attitude.
That might be a good thing. Yeah. I was trying to think if I did, and I can't really recall anything myself either.
I actually had an experience at work today. I just work at a retail store, a women's clothing store, and tailor. And there's this woman that came in, and she was like dressed to the nines and everything. And one of our sales associates was helping her. It was a really slow time in the store. There wasn't anybody else in there. And the associate, just kept approaching her periodically and, making comments about certain clothing items or whatnot. And by the time the lady came up to the register to pay for her things, she's like, if I didn't like this store so much, I would have left a long time ago. And it like totally took the girl back by surprise, like, oh no, what happened? And the lady's like, well, you hovered around me way too much. You made me really uncomfortable. And, I just thought it was really inappropriate. But, I'm one of I was a store manager on at the time. And so So I approached the sales associate after the interaction, and I was just like, because she got really upset. She's Pakistani, and she felt that it was racially motivated. And so she was really upset about it all and everything. And I just went to her and said, there's some people that you're just not going to be able to please. And, she the lady presented herself just very arrogant. And I said, had it been me coming into a situation like that, or I'm at a store and I'm feeling uncomfortable about the way the person is hovering, I would have either just left or just not done my business and, not say anything at all. So, I told her just, don't take it to heart too much, that there's some people who just, feel like they have to say their piece for one reason or other. I don't know why she felt like she was going to benefit from saying that to her, but, in the end, I was able to kind of smooth things over with the associate because she was kind of like, I'm out of here, She'd never had an interaction with a customer like that before. And I was just like, unfortunately, every so often you're going to get somebody like that. And you just have to be able to, either brush it aside or learn from it. And I said, in this instance, I didn't see that she did anything wrong necessarily. I think the lady was just one of those people that when she shops, she just wants to be left alone, so.
Yeah, there's I guess a skill there where you have to learn how to read the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And the case study, how did the write-up go for everyone? Are you getting used to what is being asked?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, I've had other classes that require case studies, and it seems pretty similar.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of feedback did you guys all get? I got a B+ on it, which sounds like you said that was kind of the average.
Yeah.
We're talking about week 3, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about last week. Just kind of reviewing a little bit.
Case study this week.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at mine. Let me
look at my grade.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. I'd only written like an 800-word one, but he wanted 1,000. I thought 1,500 was like max. I wasn't even going to touch that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a B.
Yeah, that's right. It up to. So, but they gave good feedback, and I think the instructions in an email, what to do, and kind of line it up with the rubric just to make it easy for grading and everything. Kind of gives you a good, a good template to follow.
Yeah.
Did you ever come out with the percentages for each?
Oh, the initial, right? The initial thing where we said what we thought for each section. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
These write-ups are worth like 40% now, which is a lot more than I put.
Oh, for the grades.
I think it's worth 40%. That's what my grades are showing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The accountability project's only worth 20.
Yeah, the write-ups are 40. Yeah, you're right.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
That's crazy.
Put some effort into it now, huh?
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess moving on. Does anyone want to give a brief synopsis of what the reading covered, or you want me to go through it, or what are you guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, lead the way.
Okay. So this article from the New York Times Magazine. There was a person named Rozovsky, kind of give a little background about her school and work experiences previously, and how she had a group that worked and a group that didn't work well, and kind of was wondering, like, hey, why was there a difference? And the group that didn't work well didn't end up staying together, but the one that did work well, they stayed up together and worked together through the whole time that she was there in school. And so that was the previous experience that kind of led her into the research that she was ended up doing for Google. And they were interested in finding out why teams work together well versus other teams that didn't work together well, what kind of background it was, if it was certain personalities or certain types of people, or just what it was. They wanted to get to the root of the problem, or what would make, how could you figure out how to organize a group so that it worked together well and was able to achieve what they needed to do. So she kind of headed the way in a bunch of research, and they called it Project Aristotle, and they were trying to find out what made up the best teams with that. And basically through a bunch of research, they didn't find any pattern that was, outwardly obvious of a bunch of people that had achieved A's in this class seemed to work best or anything like that. And looking into it, they found out that it was a group norm, which was something that was within the group, which may have been spoken or unspoken, but it was something that influenced everybody and kind of became a main determiner of how that group functioned. Even if someone wasn't like how the group norm functioned outside of the group, they would kind of defer to it, I think is the word they used in the study or in the paper. They would defer to that in the norm and how it worked. And then I guess they paired up with Carnegie Mellon, MIT, and Union College, and they studied a bunch of people and found out there were good team qualities, such as taking turns to speak. They didn't speak over each other. There was called an average social sensitivity, which was I guess a skill at reading others and being able to sense if someone was feeling like they're doing well or okay that day, and if they weren't, they could pick up on that and kind of give them a little extra attention to whatever they might need to be able to function well in the group. And then they also found out something determined something called the psychological safety, which was the group culture that each, as the group members felt safe in their team, that they were able to, put in the effort that would allow that group to be successful, and they didn't feel that they would be criticized or that they'd get jumped on for giving an idea, and that anything that they offered would be looked at well, and they had a good communication process. And so then they brought in another person that worked with at Google after that study, Sakaguchi, and they were good. He was a good manager, and he kind of said, "Hey, this is what I have experienced too. I've got bad groups, and I want to make sure I keep a good group." And they told of his experience. He shared a personal experience with his group that he opened up and told them that he was going through stage 4 cancer at that time, and no one really knew that he was going through that while he was working. And that gave them, the whole group, an opening to kind of bond with each other, and they kind of just talked about that. And it kind of set the psychological safety of that group and that norm for them. And then it kind of just went over, things they learned from Project Aristotle, that being able to be fully present at work, to feel psychologically safe, and being able to not talk, or to be able to talk about anything and not feel judged or criticized about it. And then the success is often built on the experiences that people have, and the trust that's built within the group. And obviously good communication is something that's needed. So that's basically the whole article summed up. Does anyone have anything else that they read through and want to share it all with that?
I actually, reading through it, what's it called, like the social awareness quiz or ability or whatever. I went out there and I looked for one, and I view myself as someone that's pretty aware of my surroundings. I'm good at reading cues and whatnot. So I thought I was going to do really well. It's actually a really hard quiz. I didn't do terrible, but I thought I was going to do a lot better. I got like 70% of the, it just shows you like their eyes and asks what mood they're feeling. But hey, maybe taking that test will make me better at it. So
yeah,
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
it's higher than the norm, though, I would guess, at 70%. So many people are just so into their own world that they don't pick up on those things, on the emotions and state of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting you went and found it, because I was thinking about that when I was reading. I was like, I wonder if that thing's out there, and just like what did it seem like. So That's pretty interesting.
It's pretty quick too. You try it.
It's just like sets of eyes, and then you just kind of just
just put the picture of here, and it says, do they feel scared? Are they flirty? Are they this? And you would think that there's a big difference between the two, but you'd be surprised.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. Anyone have anything else they'd like to share about that? Cool. We're going to move to question 1. So it says and as we were kind of talked before we started recording, there's the discussion board. So basically the prompts for this discussion are just the questions that we answered and that some of us have shared on there. So we're just going to be basically going through it and discussing. And once we get through that, we can probably talk about anything else we need to and wrap it up from there. But from question 1, it says, from your personal experience, what have been key behaviors in effective teams that you've seen?
Well, for me at least, it's just the openness of people. And I think that's in the past in my groups, it's just people listening to other people and kind of being open with their schedule, their situation or whatnot, and just kind of understanding everybody, where they come from. And then from there, that's at least from my past experiences. But yeah, I'm sure it's different for everybody.
Well, and I agree with that, because most of my experiences has been that the groups that work the best are the groups where people aren't so sensitive, right? So you can actually talk and say, this is what I think, and then the group can discuss that or say, oh, well, wonder if we change it and do this. And, sometimes you get in groups where people are way sensitive because you didn't choose their idea, or you said something that asked a question why it wouldn't work or something, they're all sensitive. And so I think sometimes when groups are not, on their little sensitivity, they do a little better too.
Yeah.
Yep. Something I put when I answered as dependability, being able to rely on each other for, if there was an assignment and part of it, that you could depend on whoever was assigned would come back having completed or have worked on it well and would be able to share it with the team. And then good communication as well.
For sure. Yeah,
for sure. Yep. So question 2 says, what do group norms have to do with effective team building?
I don't know. Well, I guess this is all subjective, but I feel like if I'm in a group, especially like the first day, maybe the first day I'm meeting a group, and I don't know them, they don't know me, I don't know how. I'm kind of on my best behavior. I don't know what the rules are. So I feel like if everybody knows what the norms are or the rules, I guess to me, those are synonymous almost. You can be more effective. You can be more open with one another rather than being maybe holding a comment you normally would have given in just because you don't know how the others would.
He's okay.
Yeah, kind of where you might spend, the first part of like your group getting together, trying to feel each other out, and be like, is this person going to be overly sensitive, or is there someone that's going to be really pushy or something before you actually get working well? If you can kind of establish a norm first, then maybe that would help get the group functioning faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, this is only our second time meeting, and I feel like there's already been a bit of a rapport established between us all. We've all been able to communicate well over email and stuff to coordinate getting together, and have been flexible and accommodating for each other, and just, that mutual respect, and just coming into it knowing that, we're all working towards wanting to, complete this class and get a good grade and get the most that we can out of it. And, when you work together effectively, you're going to get the most out of it.
Yep. And what would you say our current group norms are? There's some, Landon, would you say some best behavior rules, but a lot of them are just kind of unspoken or common courtesy rules. But what could we list out that are something that we're following currently?
I don't know what to call the rule, but like at the end of the article, she gives an experience where she was able to use what she learned, and I feel like we don't have the problem she had. Any comments that we make, even if I made one off the wall, it was completely wrong, had nothing to do with the case. I don't feel like I ever have to watch what I say necessarily, because I know none of you are gonna just lay into me for being wrong. You might correct me, but you'll do it in a way that I'm okay with. So I never feel like I have to hold comments back. I don't know what to call that norm, but that's one
yeah. No, I agree. I think it's like what she said in that one group, that there wasn't any judgment. Like, you're free to speak, your thoughts and, what sort of trajectory you think that, you need to go with a certain situation or whatever. I feel like, you guys have given me that, and I try to give that to you as well. So, I think when you have that openness, it's a lot easier to be able to communicate and get proper feedback.
Yep.
Yeah.
And going back to Courtney's, comment about feelings and, people getting emotional over things.
Yeah. It also says, are the group norms that we're going through right now, are they healthy group norms? I think, it kind of is evidenced by our being able to function here and have everyone in the group present, and, we're all, taking part in the group discussion. So it shows that we're have established pretty healthy group norms.
Mm-hmm.
The next question says, how does psychological safety in a team increase overall effectiveness?
Well, I think if somebody certainly is feeling beaten down or not listened to, they're not going to speak up much. They're not going to contribute much to the conversation or to solutions. So, I think it's important that we, keep a positive outlook on things. Doesn't mean that we can't critique one another and, give feedback and constructive criticism and things like that. But, we need to do it in a way that is going to help the other person rather than hurt the other person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah. Something that I had posted with the answer, or when I came up with the answers, having that psychological safety within yourself and within the team allows someone to, feel open and be able to interact genuinely with other people. So they're not holding back, or they're not, guarding their comments or guarding their ideas, because when you do that, then you're holding back what you might have, and you might not be able to, innovate and be able to share with other group members as effective as you could when you do have that psychological safety.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, what are the roles of communication? What are the roles of communication, empathy in creating psychological safety? So, what do we do that helps to create that? I know we kind of talked about it as, doing, talking to each other in a way to help rather than put each other down. What else? Are there any other thoughts with that?
Just being positive. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the things I see with that kind of goes back to some of the rules of the group with the, none of us seem to interrupt anybody else. We listen to what they say and then we'll comment after or whatever, but we don't interrupt people, and we kind of take turns, I guess you'd say, but yeah.
Yeah, it kind of goes, you're not looking down on anybody. Everyone's, talking, at a level playing field. You're not like, hey, I do this, or I'm better than anyone else in my life or anyone here at the group. So you don't have that kind of uneven bias between each other. So that's having an even and open communication helps set that good group norm with everybody.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, and going back to what Landon was saying earlier about picking up on social cues and stuff like that, and, you know, being able to read if someone is really feeling connected with the group or not.
Yeah, that is something that's important, because if someone's not, and you have the rest of the group's functioning pretty well, then they can kind of work to bring that other person in to help establish the psychological safety, which maybe it wouldn't be like consciously doing it, but actions they could try to work to bring them in and make sure that everyone's functioning as a team well together.
Yeah.
So how does sharing personal experience and being vulnerable influence team dynamics? And it says, think of the example of Sakaguchi.
I think
you're not. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's just one of those bonding experiences that people share. I mean, just understanding the background of somebody, and I mean, you're opening up something that was, well, he was opening up to something that was very important in his life, and and so I think just being heard by other people is also very helpful. And making yourself vulnerable to people and opening up. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the time that group, or I don't even know if you call it a group, but whatever they were, when they met, it was all work. And by him sharing that, it kind of showed them that he was they all knew he was a human, but it showed the human side. They didn't see him as the boss. They saw him more as a human, a friend, someone they can help, especially in a situation it's that hard. So, just like he said, if we share situations like that we're in, it doesn't always have to be negative, but it opens people's views of you as more just in a coworker, but as someone that's human that you can work with.
Yeah, I was gonna comment about the same thing, that it helps the team to see the human side, and not just a suit. It makes things a little more on a personal level, that if he wants you to know about his struggles and things that he's going through, it helps to be able to have just more understanding of where they're coming from or why they might do what they do. I have muscular dystrophy, and so and it's not always evident to people. I walk with a limp and stuff like that, and I struggle with some things, but I feel like when I get that out up front, I feel like people are a lot more understanding of maybe, why I do some of the things the way that I do, because that's the only way I can do them physically or things like that, So, I feel like by opening up to people with that, it just has brought closer relationships, or just easier relationships with my coworkers and things like that. They're more understanding. They're more willing to step in and say, "Oh, let me help you with that," or whatnot, instead of just leaving me be.
Kind of reminds me of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People story on the bus, where he was annoyed. Then the one guy opened up about his struggle with his wife just passing, and it changed the whole scenario and even their relationship, even though they only knew each other on the bus, the train, whatever it was.
Yeah. I think, showing your personal side of what you might be going through helps others to realize you're just as vulnerable and going through just the same things that anyone else is going through, and sometimes it's hard to actually visualize that, and that's one of those that's Landon, you just pointed out with the book, it's one of those things of trying to be able to look at someone's situation from their point of view or a different point of view than your own, and being able to, analyze it and be able to react to that. It helps you build a bond between you and the other people that you're with.
I think it's especially important too when you're in a role with a leadership sort of position, because it helps your team to see that you're not just this big wig or whatever trying to push yourself around.
Yeah, because it can help paint a picture of if you're in that position of you're not just someone that you're just all work at work and then you go home and all you're doing is looking over sales figures and everything else, but you might have a family, you have other hobbies, interests, and things that you like to do, and that's what you're working for. Those are the goals that you're trying to attain outside of work, rather than just all business. And that helps other people connect with you because they're in the same boat. They've got other things, they've got their families, they've got hobbies and things that they do outside of work as well. So that kind of is like a connecting factor and helps build a bond between people working in a group. Moving on to the last question, it says, what can you do as an individual to initiate effective team behavior? And I'll go on this one. I've been observing it the whole meeting, this meeting, last meeting. We're taking turns speaking. We're all sharing opinions and thoughts that we have. So that helps our team work together well. We're not getting into arguments or shouting matches or anything with over differences of opinion. So that's always good and helping our team to work well with the norms that we've set up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think just keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah,
for sure.
You have to be positive about the assignment or case study or whatever the assignment is, I guess. Just be positive.
Yeah, and we're all going through the same thing. We're all doing the same assignments, reading the same stuff. So we're all coming from the same place and trying to get to the end of the term and achieve the same things and find success in this class. So we're all together in it. That's basically it. Does anyone else have any other comments about this week's reading, the discussion we just had?
No.
Oh.
Who's got the meeting next week?
It's mine. I have it next week.
Yeah.
Are we okay for Wednesday at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm good with Wednesday next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. We can plan.
If you just want to email everybody, or at least me, I don't know if everybody else wants it, like Tuesday or Wednesday, or maybe right now, just to remind us, that would be fine.
I will. I'll probably email on Monday. Then it's a little closer for the reminder.
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect.
But we'll plan on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys next Wednesday then.
All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.